Let's talk all things arts on Julie Whitney Scott Presents, heard only on WGRN 91.9 LP, the Green Renaissance Station. Welcome to Let's Talk All Things Art. I'm your host, Julie Whitney Scott, and I have with me Miss Marjorie Conn, who is a playwright who is going to be featured this year at the 11th Annual Columbus Black Theater Festival with her play, The Wedding Ceremony, directed by Ariel Wells. Thank you so much for being here with us today, Marjorie.
Well, I'm very excited. Thank you.
Before we get started, I would like for you to, at first, tell my audience, how did you become a writer? When did that start? And what set you off to be the playwright that you are today in your journey?
Well, what started me writing, believe it or not, was when I think I was around the age of 50, and I saw that there were hardly any roles for older women. I was living on Cape Cod then, and I would look at the casting notices, and there was nothing. There was nothing for me. And I said, well, this can't go on. So I started writing. I first started writing one-woman shows, and I wrote 3 one-woman shows, and I formed a theater company, and I performed them. And so that's how I got started writing. I felt I had to. I felt I had no choice as a woman and an older woman, and as an actor. I felt I had no choice. I had to write plays. And that's what I did. So.
Wow. Our story is so similar in that fact right there. I didn't see me as a woman or as a person of color in plays at my age. I didn't see any stories where I could actually be in them as an actress because, hey, I was too old, or B, I was, people just said, hey, this is a white role when it could actually been any role. And like you, I wanted to make sure I did that. So I started my own theater company too, Mind Forgot Productions. That is so cool. Let's take a minute before we get deep into talking about your play, The Wedding Ceremony. Let's talk about the challenges as a woman that we had, and what you had. Since this is you, I'm interviewing you. I want my audience to know about you. And because I know that some of our challenges are similar in the fact that we are women.
Yes.
Talk about that and how you were able to come up with this idea that, look, this is what's needed. And then how did you go about getting that done?
Well, before I started writing plays, I did find a one-woman show that I really wanted to do. And that's why I created the theater company. This was in Provincetown, Massachusetts. And then the next year I thought, okay, now I'm going to start writing plays. And it was a huge challenge because I hate to say this, but the women in Provincetown did not support me. There was another theater company in the same building where I had mine, and I'd see the women pouring in there. And I was hard pressed to get people to come to my theater. But I persevered for 30 years, so I really cannot complain. I had my company 20 years in Provincetown, Massachusetts, and then 10 years in Asbury Park, New Jersey. And so I'm very proud that I did this. And I not only wrote the plays, I cleaned the toilets and, cleaned the place, vacuumed. I mean, it was quite a challenge, but I did it all. I wrote the plays, I acted in them, I kept the place clean, I advertised. It was very satisfying. And so I not only performed the plays that I wrote, I opened up the company to anybody who wanted to put on a play. I never turned anybody away. And I never had an audition. Whoever wanted to be a part of the program that I had going was welcome. It was just very exciting.
It sounds so exciting. What's the name of the theater company?
I called it the Provincetown Fringe Festival because it was
Oh,
in Provincetown, Mass, and we did things on the Fringe. And when I moved to Asbury Park, I kept the name Provincetown Fringe Festival in Asbury Park. So, yeah. And so it was very, and what's interesting, the play that was accepted, the place where it took place, the actual wedding ceremony took place in Asbury Park, New Jersey, where I had my theater company.
wow, that's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. As a playwright, what has been your most, if you could think about anything that you've written thus far, what gave you the most pleasure in being produced?
Well, this play that you're doing is very, very important to me because it's the one play of all the plays that I've written, and I've written a lot, that has not been produced. Oh, and I've been given excuses. Oh, we can't cast it. What? I never understood that. So, and this play is really, really important to me because it is autobiographical fiction, as they say. Many of my plays are autobiographical, but I say autobiographical fiction because it's never exactly the way that it happened. You take your poetic license. So I have to say that I am so thrilled that you're doing this play. I'm just beyond thrilled. I don't have any words for it. So the fact that I'm going to get to see this play actually performed is amazing to me. Of course, I wrote the part for me, but okay.
You brought up something I think is that we should touch on. You said that people said they couldn't cast for your play. I've been a very strong advocate here in Central Ohio that premise of we can't cast a play. It usually is said when there's a call for the role to be of a person of color. And it's one of those things that I've advocated very strongly for, and it's why I started Mind for God Productions and the Black Theater Festival and opened that up, like you said, to anybody can submit your play, but your play must have 50% of those characters must be people of color, because I think it's an excuse to say we can't cast this play.
Oh, yeah.
And because the real reason you can't cast that play is because you're not willing to advertise and promote and go look for the people that can actually perform the play, which means you have to come outside of your territory, which means you have to come up out of your own comfort zone. And which means that if you actually have to advertise and say, we are wanting people of color to come to our audition. And then you have to show people that not only are you just saying that, to be saying that, oh, we welcome everybody. Anybody can come and be a part of this. But you actually have to demonstrate that you do that. And how you demonstrate that is people see that you are working with people of color and that people of color are actually being cast. So, for someone to say we can't cast a 3-part play, just 3 characters, one is a Black male, one is a Jewish female, and the other can be anybody, because it's an officiator, so that could be anybody at any age that's old enough to officiate, any race, any gender, any sexuality. You got these 3 perfect opportunities to show a multi-diverse play, and to say, oh, we can't cast that. I just find that ridiculous.
Well, I do too. And that's why I am so thrilled that it's being done, because I was tired of hearing that. And since I didn't have any control over it because I wasn't the one producing it, I just couldn't even believe it. It just made me angry. So this is why I am so thrilled, and why I am going to make the effort to come to see the show, at least for Saturday.
Yes. Tell us a little bit about the wedding ceremony without giving it all away.
Well, as I said, it's based on it's autobiographical, and I don't want to start crying, so I have to be careful here. Um, the character of Adam is so deep in my heart, and when I wrote the play, he was alive, and I am still grieving his loss, and this is the other reason why this play is so important to me, because his name is John. I met him in 1960, so I know, and we just had this unbelievable relationship, and that's what the play is based on. And I wrote the play, as I said, while he was still alive, and he saw the play. He thought it was funny. He was funny. And so the fact that it's being done is sort of a tribute to him. And so this is why it's so important to me, and why I'm so grateful that your theater company is doing it, because this is maybe the most important play that I've written.
That really touches me, because when we get plays that are submitted, we never really know who the people are as far as the readers when they are selecting the plays. They only select the plays based on the quality of the work. And one of the things that we strive to do here at Mind for God Productions, and especially with the Columbus Black Theater Festival, is to have inclusion. Inclusion is so very important. And inclusion means everybody, no matter who you are and what age you are, as well as being able to be diverse in who you are, as far as your race or your sexuality, and to be treated equally in regards to your work being viewed based on the work and not who wrote it. Right. And this story shows, for me, when I read it, it shows how relationships can be developed, how relationships can be changed, how they can evolve through decades, and that some of the reasons that they are changed or evolved or whatever are due to internal as well as outside forces that change us. And if we allow it, some people never change. No matter what's happening, they're going to be who they're going to be. And there's nothing you can do about that, because it's an individual thing, choice that we make. So the thing about the wedding ceremony is about the choices that two people made throughout their lifetime, in regards to how they were going to have their relationship.
Right.
Yeah. Did I hit that on the nail, Marjorie?
Yes. When I talk about John, I simply say he was my everything. I mean, we were in each other's lives for close to 60 years. And I had a dream about him just the other night. He's everywhere, especially my apartment. And every place I look, there's John. He was a tuba player. I have all his tubas, all his mouthpieces. They're all spread out on a shelf there. Oh, gosh, I miss him. Memories
yeah. Are the good things that God leaves us.
Yes.
He does. I've lost a lot of people, and I know one thing: a lot of people close to me too. And one of the things I love about God is that all the bad is kind of erased. It's like when you have a child. I don't know if you had a birthed a child yet, but when you birth a child, that while you're going through it, it hurts. Oh my God, you just want to die. It's like, can this ever end? I will never do this again in my whole life. Just let this baby come out. And then as soon as bam, you just kind of forget all that.
Yeah,
And you just
right.
get engulfed into the,
I
and
know.
it's just the way that does, sometimes that does. And I think that's the way it is sometimes with when we lose someone that's very dear to us, that it's like the good memories linger. And
Oh,
and that's what keeps us, isn't that wonderful?
absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So this is why I'm so happy you're doing this play. It's
yeah.
going to be very emotional for me, but I am really looking forward to it.
Yep. Jerry March is a longtime actor, a very good friend of mine, a personal friend. He's playing Adam. And Vicky Stewart is playing Eve, who is another very good actress that has been with us before. And officiator is a young person named Miriam, who is young. And, so it's a really good mix that we have here for your play. Let's talk a little bit about something else. Let's talk about when you are thinking about putting on your theater. Is it a festival, the Fringe Festival? What is that? Is it, tell us how that works. Is it an all year long thing, or is it a 3-day festival, like the Black Theater? How does your festival works for those people that want to know about that?
Well, I don't have the festival now because right now I am a full-time New Yorker, and I sometimes will self-produce a play, but mostly I have other people do my plays. But when I did have my theater company for 30 years, it in Provincetown, it was mostly a summer thing because that's when everybody comes to see plays. But it was very intense because we would have shows at 5 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 9 o'clock, sometimes even at 11 o'clock. And we would go all summer. And then Women's Week was a big week in Provincetown. It usually would encompass the Columbus Day weekend. And then go for maybe 10 days. And so the festival was then too. When I moved to Asbury Park and left Provincetown, the festival really wasn't so much a festival. We just called it that, but we had ongoing things throughout the year. But I guess what made it a festival is that everybody was welcome. Everybody was welcome to be a part of it, and that's what made it exciting. But when I moved to New York, it just full time. I was too old to keep it going. I'm sorry. I'm in my mid-80s. That just ran by. But that's
Wait a minute, back up. You said you are in your mid-80s? Marjorie, you look wonderful.
Thank
I
you.
never would have thought you were in your mid-80s. You look great. My mother is 88 and she looks good too. You know what I'm saying?
Good.
So you guys give us hope.
Yeah. Well, I have to tell you, my hair, I don't even know what my hair, I was recently in a movie. Well, it's going to be opening at the end of this year. And I auditioned for it and I got the part. And I had my hair was green then. And so they needed somebody who was old, that's me, and who had long hair, that's me. And so they asked me if I wouldn't mind going white. And I said, okay. So I don't know what they did, but I don't have any roots. And this was in December, So this is why I have white hair now. And I love it. I've
Well,
always wanted
whatever
white
they,
hair.
so you're saying that whatever they did, it just kept it that color? It's beautiful.
I know. Well, they told me every 3 months, and this is what I'm doing, every 3 months to go for what they call a gloss. So I went one time for the gloss because this was done in December, and I love it. I've always wanted white hair. So there's also a TikTok video that somebody did at the beauty salon. Is saying going from green to Snow White. It shows them taking out the green. It's not even a minute long, but it shows the whole process, which took over 8 hours, by the way.
You have a lot of hair.
Well, I'll tell you one thing that age has done. It's not as thick as it used to be. It was really thick. But
I'm noticing that with mine. I'm noticing that with mine too. It's like I've got the length, but the thickness is not as thick as it used to be, which is good because I'm tender-headed and I used to hurt to comb it. But still, I've noticed that. But your hair is absolutely beautiful. I never would have known it. Never would have known you was in your mid-80s if you had to say that. Never. But you look good. You look good. People.
The marriage of the marriage ceremony, I was probably about 70 years old when I got married for the first time. And John was 8 years older than me.
Wow.
So maybe I was in my late 60s. I'd have to do the math. I'm not good at math.
Well, you certainly give me hope. My grandmother got married when she was 72, and that was her third husband. She was widowed twice. And with the third one, he was at her bedside when she passed at 83. So I was like, well, if you can get married at 70, now you have reinforced that in my mind. Julie, it's not over. It's not over yet. You haven't even got to 70. Once I get past 70 now, Marjorie, if I'm still single while I'm in, I'll be like, well, daggone it, it's over because I'm past 70.
Well, it was just funny to be with somebody for so long and then just suddenly, after all those years, almost 50 years, decide, okay, let's get married.
But at least you did. And this wedding ceremony is a great testament to that, in a lovely, beautiful, funny a story. As I was saying earlier about how relationships can develop, especially long-term relationships, and how you can tell that you guys. How people, the thing I really liked about this play too, let me say this, is it shows that how people can be two completely opposite people, just totally different.
Oh my goodness,
okay,
you really hit the nail on the head there.
Yeah, sour candy versus sweet, just and not in the way they act toward each other either, by the way, audience or spirit, none of that, but it's just like too totally. It just shows you how it's true that soulmates and whatever has nothing actually all the time to do with what you do to get. It's not that people come together for whatever reason they do, and it's amazing. And I think absolutely lovely when an artist, a free-going artist, thinking person can find somebody else that's stabler and not that and still be able to be themselves and end up together. Through
we
all
supported each other 100%. It was unconditional love. I can say that.
Yeah. And we all don't have that. And we all don't get that. We don't all get that, being in a relationship where a person just accepts you for who you are. This is who I am. Do you love me or not? I love you the way you are. So you don't get that all the time. And this story, the wedding ceremony audience, which will be at the Columbus Black Theater Festival this July the 7th, 8th, and 9th. Get your tickets. They're on sale
I-
right now.
I'm getting my tickets for the 8th.
Yeah. She
Hopefully
getting the complimentary one too. Yeah.
and I hope to be at the 4:00 show and it's 7, right? The 4:00
Yes.
show and the 7:00 show,
Yes.
because I'm not going to be riding, it's a great distance from New York. I don't know, what is it, 8 to 10 hours, but we're going to do
Well,
it.
you will be our guest because on Saturday we have like a cast party dinner so that because we're like in between shows. So you and your guests, you can join us.
Oh boy, that will be fun.
That'll be great.
That's what I love about theater, is all the parties that go with it and all the, that's
Yes,
whenever
all of the fellowship.
I have terrible stage fright. So I'm a nervous wreck before I go on stage when I'm acting, but I just love it when it's over because everybody goes out for something to eat or something to drink and you get to say hello to all your friends. That's my favorite time.
Yes.
So
yes.
I'll be looking forward to the socialization and meeting everybody.
Yes, well, I am so happy that you're going to be able to come. So Marjorie Conn, thank you so much for number one, submitting your play to the Columbus Black Theater Festival, number one, and sharing this beautiful story, the wedding ceremony, with our audience here in Central Ohio and beyond. Thank you for being on Let's Talk All Things Art. I'll see you this July.
Definitely. Thank you.
Thank you for being with me on Let's Talk All Things Art. This is another Mind for God production sponsored event hosted by me, Julie Whitney Scott.